how you got into dentistry, and then how you, especially at the beginning, is really interesting. You have a very unique how you became a dentist, and then how that kind of led down your path. So would you mind sharing some of that story with our listeners today?
Totally. That's fine. I was thinking about it on the drive over here this morning, and there are some funny parts that I didn't mention. So I'm excited to share those with you too last time when we were chatting. But yeah, I mean, I think, my story starts probably similarly to many dentists, or at least many dentists that I've heard of. That my dad was a dentist when I was growing up, so I kind of was around it, saw it. I was super passionate about helping people during dental school. Was in Guatemala doing some dental work down there. It's like, man, that would be really great to be able to do some of this. But rewind just a little bit. So I think the interesting part of the story was I went to school at Pepperdine, liberal arts college in Malibu. So lots of tears for where I went to college. It was a very sad place to attend while we were taking surfing classes. But I had literally turned in my change of schedule. My freshman year, like registered as a bio major or whatever, and I was in a band, and my best friend was with me in the band. He was a model. He had connections. We're like, sweet, we're gonna go somewhere. We're gonna change the world. We're gonna be folk rock stars. And so yeah, I literally had picked out the easiest classes that I could, because I was like, I'm gonna drop out. It doesn't matter. Literally, I'm just why do something hard? And so one of the things about Pepperdine being a liberal arts school is that they make you take PE, which is pretty funny for college. It feels, I think you could rebrand that now given the whole wellness movement, and we totally understand how important it is to develop those habits, right? But anyway, so I was like, well, I'm not taking PE because that's ridiculous. And so all freshmen take PE because that's just when you do it. So I didn't. So after I had kind of had this realization of hey, I saw myself in 20 years on a tour bus away from my family, whatever, that I didn't have at the time, obviously. But it's I just don't think that's the life for me. So switch back to bio. But needless to say, that had repercussions when I was a senior and had to take PE with all the freshmen. And I have this distinct memory of we had to swim for 45 minutes, and I suck at swimming. And I have this memory of my PE teacher just standing over me, being like, you will do this. And I was like, oh man, this is what I got myself into back in the day when I decided I was gonna be a rock star instead of a dentist. So yeah, that's a little bit of my journey towards getting into dental school, I guess. And then, from there, like I mentioned, had some interesting things that brought me to kind of my community health world that I spent some time in and whatnot. So,
well, and an interesting note that I find fascinating is that your friend that was going to be a folk rock star with you actually became a doctor as well, of a physical therapist, right?
Yeah, he's a PMNR, physician, so physical medicine and rehabilitation.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, no, totally. It was funny. They made a few records, kind of was in the Nashville scene for a little bit, and it was cool. It was super fun. He now lives in Cincinnati, and I think I was telling you the other day, he was just doing a spine procedure on the drummer from the National, which he didn't know at the time. He's like, oh yeah, what's your favorite band in Cincinnati? He's like, the National. He's like, oh, that's my band. And then that made my friend super freaked out. So, but yeah, so no, we both went from folk rock stardom to medical careers.
That has to be the first. That has to be the first.
Exactly.
So you're in college. You decide, hey, I'm not going to do the folk rock star. I'm going to actually be a dentist. And what happened after college?
Yeah. So, I moved to Colorado. I knew that this is a place that I loved. I grew up skiing in Southern Colorado and knew that I wanted to be here. So I moved. I worked for a year to get residency. So I worked at a biotech company doing mass spectrometry and things like that, which was pretty fun. For a year, and then played soccer and did stuff that you do when you're 23 without kids, and went to the bars on Pearl Street and whatever. But yeah, I knew I wanted to go to dental school, so went to dental school in Colorado here, and like I said, really found kind of was like, I want to skateboard with my patients, so maybe I'll be an orthodontist or something. As you
awesome.
do, right?
That needs to be on a t-shirt or a TikTok or something.
I want to skateboard with my patients. So yeah, but yeah, like in that trip to Guatemala, I went actually a couple of times. It was just really like, man, this really speaks to the part of me that, this is why I like want to be a part of healthcare, because I would really want to help people who need it. And so, yeah, kind of led me to community health, and really wanted to work for an organization in Denver called Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, where they obviously do homeless healthcare. Turned out that it was not the plan for me. Ended up at a different community health center that was growing a lot, and feel really lucky to have been there, because it taught me a lot about how dental can operate as a part of health in general. It's a super leading kind of community health center in the country, so that was really great. I lost you, Gary.
Oh, sorry about that. So you were the second dentist at that organization, right?
Yeah. So I was like one office, 4 chairs. Happened to like get the job because the guy who was there, like I was on a rotation for school. He liked to go out to lunch a lot, and I like food too. I'm a super big foodie. Obviously, I think probably everyone who's like super into coffee is probably super into food too. Yep. So like we just went out to lunch all the time, and he liked me. I think, we got to know each other, and he got to like me. But he was leaving to go become an oral surgeon. And so he hired what turned out to be my boss from another community health center in Colorado. She hired me, and yeah, now it's 4 sites. It's 25, 40 hygienists. I don't know. It's huge. With like 15 dentists. It's a lot of people, taking care of a lot of people in the North Denver area, which is really cool.
Yeah. And so what were some of the key things that you learned there, or you started to develop as a young clinician?
Yeah, one of the, obviously, like so many cool things just in terms of like how dental care and medical care can kind of be integrated, because we were really integrated in lots of ways.
Oh, wow.
So like our hygienists, we were one of the first clinics in Colorado, at least, but I think in the country, that was really putting hygienists as a part of like the medical team. So when kids would come in to, have their child check, like the hygienist would see them and, do a screening and put fluoride varnish on and do all this stuff. Right. So they didn't even have to come and see us as a dentist, which was great. So yeah, lots of cool, innovative stuff like that. One of my mentors who started his career in homeless healthcare and is now back there, he introduced me to motivational interviewing, which is a huge part of my story. Certainly wouldn't be who I am and where I am without that style in terms of how we speak to patients and help them make behavior changes. So that was obviously hugely influential. But yeah, I think like it also gave me like a love for evidence. I'm like a super nerd in terms of some of that stuff, like always combing through the evidence. We got a precept student, so that taught me a lot about what it was like to, mentor people, bring them up, alongside, as a younger clinician, and how to help kind of, not indoctrinate them, right? But like you kind of see, right? People are just so malleable at that phase, and how do you help them learn? And that taught me a lot about dental education and what I think, the future of that looks like. So lots of different pieces that I feel like I definitely wouldn't be who I am today without that experience.